Hello and welcome back to Whiskey Wars. My name is Sean and tonight we'll be reviewing Old Grandad 114. Let's get into it. Okay, so here is our bottle for this evening, Old Grandad 114, and this is kind of a classic. If you go on any bourbon forums, Reddit, Facebook, etc., you will see many people talking about this, and it's very beloved. Now, for those of you that don't know, this is a Jim Beam product, and I think since the acquisition from Jim Beam, it's probably suffered a little bit in quality. Some other reviewers have named this as some of their favorite whiskey of all time, talking about the older bottles pre-Jim Beam, pre the acquisition. But with that said, I think this is still a pretty good bottle, so let's get into it and find out a little bit more about it. Now, of course, this is 114 proof, so really nearly barrel proof if it isn't proper barrel proof. So yeah, definitely in the barrel proof range. And then let's just read over the back real quick. So Old Grandad 114 is made from a unique recipe that uses more of the costly small grains, which create a distinctive flavor and body. This fine bourbon is bottled at 114 proof to preserve every drop of that unique character. Look for the lot number on each bottle signifying the authenticity of Old Grandad 114. And for those of you that are curious, this is lot number 1. So you can compare at home. If you have lot number 1, then you can taste along with me and see if my nosing and tasting notes match yours. And then, of course, distilled and bottled by Old Grandad Distillery Company, Frankfort, Claremont, Kentucky. Of course, we know, as I said earlier, that this is now part of Jim Beam. Actually, that's a heck of a cork pop. That's one thing I always love about. One more time. Oh yeah. So I love the big fat cork on Old Grandad. You always get a really nice cork pop. So just for full transparency, this is like my third bottle of Old Grandad. So needless to say, I'm a fan. Let's get into the nose though. All right, so right away, you know this is a Jim Beam product. Even though Old Grandad is distinct on its own, you're getting kind of that nutty cinnamon forward nose. There's also a nice brown sugar in there. One thing that I noticed that you don't get a whole lot on Jim Beam products is caramel. You don't get a whole lot of caramel on a Jim Beam. There is a nice vanilla note in there and definitely some very nice char notes. And I would say there's a nice citrus note in there. I would say like a very sweet orange. Now, this thing is proofy, and so that makes it a little more difficult to nose it because it's very proof forward. And that's another downfall that I find in Jim Beam products, especially when nosing, is that you get a lot of the ethanol presence on the nose. But as we'll see as we get into this, I don't think that hurts it a whole lot because I think the nose is still pretty nice. And well, before I say any more, let's get our first sip in. All right, so some really nice notes on that. You're getting like a nice raspberry, of course, brown sugar in there, and it's kind of a toasted brown sugar. Lots of barrel presence, so some nice charred notes in there as well. There is hints of caramel coming through, but a lot of cinnamon there for sure. And then you are getting quite a bit of ethanol on, kind of that tongue punch happening, but it is 114 proof, so you should kind of expect that. This is not a low proof whiskey by any means, and it lets you know it. Definitely getting that Kentucky hug down in here. The chest is feeling warm. Yeah, a nice experience so far. Let's go in for one more sip here and see what else we can get. Okay, so on that sip, I got some kind of nice, almost like a white chocolate on the front of the palate. Just kind of a thick, creamy white chocolate. And then also, as you go in heading towards the finish, that's when the cinnamon really pops. And it's kind of a cinnamon bomb on the finish. A whole lot of cinnamon presence. There is a nice kind of brown sugar mixed in there as well. And you're definitely getting some heat on the back end. So something to keep in mind if you are new to whiskey especially is that this does drink pretty hot. I find that A lot of Jim Beam products tend to drink a little hotter than they actually are, 5 to 10 proof anyway. But I don't think that dings it enough that it makes it a bad whiskey by any means. I think Old Grandad is fantastic. As I said, this is probably my 3rd bottle, but I do really enjoy higher proofs. I really enjoy barrel proofs. And so when you're looking at barrel proofs, it's hard to beat this because I don't know of many other options that are very near barrel proof that are around the $30 price point. And so because it is a good deal, I have to rate it pretty good. And so I'm going to go a solid, I think this might be just a step slightly above a Knob Creek 9-year. And so because of that, I'm going to go 8.1. I don't think it's drastically better. I think Knob Creek is great on its own. And so if you folks have not tried this, I cannot recommend it enough, especially if you like barrel proof stuff. Go ahead and check this out. It's a great buy. And folks, if you are enjoying the channel, we do have a Patreon. The link is down in the description, so just follow the link and then you can support the channel directly. And there's lots of different benefits you can find there, such as free samples from me shipped to your door and the higher tiers, as well as you can request videos that maybe I have not done, things you would like to see in the future. And then, of course, we're trying to build a community there as well. And also, if you guys have suggestions for Patreon benefits, then please let me know that down in the comments. I'd love to hear those. And lastly, folks, if you enjoyed this review, then please hit that like button. And if you want to see more reviews like this, then you can click right here. And if you really are enjoying the channel, then you can subscribe right here. And until next time, folks, just remember, you can never have too much good whiskey.